This is our, I think, 7th stop in our little regional tour. Certainly, on the list, I think we need to provide most of the First Nations in the regions the information that's required for them to give us some of the support that I think we started from back in October last year. Things that I'm going to be covering is the Mountain Pine Beetle Working Group and the process of managing the transition of its work to the First Nations Forestry Council.
The council has been structured, and we started on October 17th in Prince George, and we've been to Prince Rupert, Williams Lake, Kamloops, Vernon, Cranbrook, and this is the last meeting that we'll be having on this current trip. And it's vital that we get your input into how to structure the First Nations Forestry Council. Our funding right now has been all directed from the mountain pine beetle stuff, but we need kind of your support to go back to governments and say, look, you need to also put in money so that we can address these coastal issues. They've got they're spending a ton of money on trying to solve the coast problems, but they can't do it without you. And you need a forum for this policy stuff, and this is what we're trying to create. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to, with this, with strong support, we'll be able to get the resources to be able to put your concerns out on the table. Are there any questions on this part of the presentation before we go into breakout sessions? I'll gladly answer them. Jim.
How do you foresee coming up for a group like yours that covers the whole province? How do you foresee coming up with a united policy statement or a strategy to address things like the log export? I mean, where in our small microcosm there's already such huge diversity of opinions.
There's not one single answer here, but I think what we've lacked is a voice for First Nations, and what we're trying to set up is a policy forum so that we can at least try to get some sort of consensus on the priorities and a vehicle to put those priorities forward.
We'll begin with the governance section, and I think a lot of the questions and a lot of the input that we're seeking will come through these sessions once we get started with them.
To give you guys an idea about what the proposed process, I guess, is that this call for nominations would go out. That basically on the call there would be a list of criteria that we'd be looking for. Somebody that is politically minded, someone that is able to navigate through the current politics at both the provincial and the federal level, someone that has some negotiating skills. Those are kind of the types of people that would serve this board well. And then this one, of course, would have a different list of technical, type-minded people. This is also a place where we would ask for elders and youth representatives and that type of thing.
Since it has been more of an interior initiative up to this point, and I'm just thinking that it may get a better consideration if there was some regional representation at the board level, either now or 3 years down the road.
Is there something else that fits the nature of the beast here? I mean, we have problems. I mean, the forest practices and those things that affect us, whether in fishing and wildlife management, stuff like that. So, does that fit in the realm of the Forest Advisory Panel?
Driven by the interests of the communities in terms of that. The idea behind the advisory board there is to identify what priorities there are and to make recommendations to the First Nations Forestry Council on what priorities to go after and focus our limited resources. So if like one of the first things that came out was we need to deal with land use planning and try to deal with that, and also all the problems people are having with the FROs. So we've directed some resources there, and so that's why it's important that we have some sort of regional representation, I think, so that we don't lose a concern that might be on the island here that I've never heard about it because I come over here once a year, on vacation kind of a thing or something. So.
There was a lot of concern throughout the province that we don't become a fly-by-night organization, that if you're going to start something, it needs to be sustainable, it needs to be here for the long term. So that we need to get away from the government funding and the short-term issues like mountain pine beetle, that we need to be able to access, that the council and all the other organizations should be able to access revenue sharing or things like that, and not to compete with funding that bands can get and tribal councils can get. And those have been the messages that I've heard.
It'd be interesting to find out what your guys' priorities are right now. Been through all these regional meetings, and majority of them are in the mainland, in the interior. And one of the main strategic goals and priority was mountain pine beetle and safety. That continually comes up. But on the island here, that issue isn't your main priority. So,
an efficient running logging operation. The problem with the volume offered is not enough to get the operation organized so that it be run efficiently.
so further to that, can I just, so some sort of tenure reform, and not necessarily.
Well, because what's happened to get volumes out to community forests, First Nations, and timber sales is they took 20% away. So what needs to happen is that there's got to be more wood taken away.
I know most of us are in treaty negotiations now, eh? And over 5 years ago, we proposed a treaty protected tenure. And it was absolutely met with a no. And we brought it up again 4 or 5 months ago, and now they seem to be prepared to entertain it. I think we're just kind of scratching the surface of this whole thing, because our First Nations have been locked out of industry. For the last 15 years, we've been trying to get into industry in a real way, like being a tenure holder.
Improved opportunities to direct awards of silviculture contracts or possibly even timber sales on your own territory. So right now I think there's a $50,000 limit to what the province can direct award to you, and I think there should be more opportunities for that. And also when the 20% take back, the reallocation happened, BCTS got first dibs at picking off the choice chunks, and so we're pretty upset about that as well. So, maybe even an opportunity to get direct awards of some timber sales, or, better access.
I'd just like to thank the Campbell River Band, Chief of the Council, and people for having us here, and really enjoyed the very few that has come a long ways. I've had a very good day discussing some of the issues that they have here on the island, and it's something that we wanted to hear, and hopefully we didn't just come here to have this impression that it was only the mountain pine beetle that we are concerned with. It's just one of the issues.